So anyway, this is a new experience for me because I never thought that after years of being on one side of the desk questioning my students, I would be on the other side being dictated to by them. So yeah, I've been asked a number of questions regarding questions for teachers. So regarding my life as a teacher in the school, the history of the school, and so on. Anyway, I'll try to say as much as I can remember because as I grow older, I find that I forget so many things. So, what do you know about the history of our school, IJHS? I do know that the school started in 1940 because I was also part of the editorial board in the publishing of our school magazine. So we had brought out some special issues, 1950-year issue, Golden Jubilee issue. Then there was a 60-year issue. So for these magazines, we had done a lot of in-depth study of the school. There was a very interesting document in the school. I found it when I was there as vice principal, and that was the logbook in which teachers from the year 1940 had written down details of all the happenings in the school. I found it very interesting reading, and after I was shown that logbook, it was my job to write down things that were taking place in school. So I used to enter all the the details about special occasions, visitors, events that took place, and so on. So I hope that book is still there because just as I found it interesting in the year 1998 or 2000, I'm sure that as long as Infant Jesus School survives, those who come and those who occupy any kind of official position will be interested in such a book, logbook. So I joined the school in 1981. That was 1981, beginning of the year. That must have been in June, and it was not a move that I really wanted to make because I had been teaching I taught in 2 schools outside the state. My first teaching experience was in a school in West Bengal, very far away from us. And next I moved a little closer home. I was teaching in Ooty. And both those schools were girls' schools. So I had absolutely no experience teaching boys. And then I was literally, family compulsions, family pressure forced me to come to Kollam. And then, of course, the most convenient school was Infant Jesus, or convenient schools were Infant Jesus and Mount Carmel. I applied to Infant Jesus. Or rather, I sent in an application to the bishop's house and I was called for an interview. And after which I was absorbed into Infant Jesus School. So it was a change for me because I had to deal with boys, something which I hadn't done in my 7 years of teaching experience. And not even during my teaching practice did I handle any boys. So I don't know whether you realize that there is a difference in approach to teaching boys and teaching girls. Teaching girls, we are more refined and more shall we say the way in which we approach them without hurting them and so on. I found that such measures did not work when I came to teach in Infant Jesus School. I found that I had to develop more tougher measures. So I started teaching, and my principal was Father Ferdinand Kayaval, and I must say that having him as a taskmaster is a blessing, because he developed in me so many skills. He developed in me certain attitudes, trained me in certain ways. So I won't forget any of those. If you ask me how many years of service I had there, I taught from 1981 to 2000. That was an unbroken record of service. In 2000, I left to go abroad. I got a chance to take up a post in a school in Bahrain. Now, as you know, that was the time. Now the rush to go to the Gulf is not so rampant. People prefer to go to other countries. But those days, everyone wanted to go to the Gulf, and I also wanted to go to the Gulf. So when I got a chance to go, I was keen to take it up. So I left the school. There was no question of taking leave from the school, because the school did not have any such provision. So I had to leave the school, and it was a wrench leaving the school and going to different pastures. I was going to territory which was quite unknown to me, systems which I was not familiar with. I didn't know whether I would find myself comfortable in a new situation. But one thing I knew, that I had been trained. As I said, I was trained, and I felt that I would be able to meet whatever challenges I came across. And sure enough, when I reached Bahrain, this reputation of Infant Jesus had gone ahead of me. So people had heard of the school, and people were impressed by the school. So they gave me the credit of being former teacher, vice principal of the school. They said, if you're from Infant Jesus, then we're glad to have you. So I spent 4 years in that school. First as a teacher, also as a head teacher, and then again family commitments required that I return, that I give up my service there, because the school had 2-year bonds. So I did 2 stints of service, and then I said that I had to return to my home, my native state, my native country. And I must say, it was a boost to my ego that the school was very reluctant to leave me, and they even said that they would give me family status, that I could take my husband there. But I knew that I had to return home, because my family needed me here. So I came back, and but I didn't join Infant Jesus school immediately. For the simple reason that was not in the picture. So I was working at other schools, but I did return to Infant Jesus in 2007. Initially, I came as a part-time teacher, maths teacher, and I was teaching thrice a week, thrice a week till noon time. And then Father Sylvie, who was the principal by then, not Father Sylvie, it was during Sister Estelle's time that I came as a part-time teacher. And Father Sylvie suggested that whether I could take up a full-time job. So after 2007, 2008, I think, I started working full-time in Infant Jesus till 2014. end of 2014. So, if you want to know how many years of service I have had, you must do some maths and add all these years together. And I think I worked sufficiently long at Infant Jesus. So, so you can say that I worked in Infant Jesus under two different atmospheres, not just the headship, but one I was my first part of my service I was a regular teacher, and I had a position of I had something. That's a different attitude. And the second time I came as a retired teacher, and there was a difference and by which time I found that the students had changed a lot. There's no point looking back and saying that children are not as good now as they were before and so on, because with the passage of time this is it's what we can expect, and this is not a phenomenon that is taking place only in our school or our state or our country, but it's taking place all over the world. I mean, sure, I don't have to tell you how youngsters are changing, young people are changing, how discipline is changing, the attitudes of governments are changing, educational systems are changing. All that is expected, attitudes of parents. So I think I was lucky to belong to a time when the attitude was much better. Children were more responsive. Parents were more cooperative. For example, in the early days, parents were quite happy when children were disciplined or children were pulled up for something, punished. And parents used to say, Miss and we had to tell them that no, beating and punishing was not part of what we had to do. They were quite happy to leave such things to the teachers. But later I found that this attitude changed, and parents were up in arms when their children were criticized, when their children were punished. In fact, even when children were given homework, so parents wanted to know why was there so much homework, because by then the shift had taken place. It was not that the needs of the school curriculum had to be addressed. Parents were more interested in making sure that the tuition teachers were not upset. So it was okay if the tuition teachers punished, if the tuition teachers gave a lot of homework, but they couldn't go and dictate terms and conditions to the tuition teachers, but they could come and tell the teachers, don't give too much homework. When he comes home, he has no time for homework, or you shouldn't have punished my child, and so on. I remember one case when one of the students, one boy, he was in the 8th standard or 9th standard. He came to school one day and he had some bruises, not just bruises, but cane marks, festering cane marks on his upper arm. So I noticed that, and I was shocked. So I asked him. I was afraid that these marks were inflicted by one of our teachers, in which case this matter would have to be taken up more seriously. So I asked him, how did you get these cane marks? And he said the tuition teacher had beaten him. So that was some relief. If the tuition teacher had beaten him, his parents would have had no complaint. And true enough, the parents had no complaint. So if you ask about attitude changes, these are some of the attitude changes. Now, but all said and done, actually the students here still remain better behaved than students in other places. I was teaching I was in Bahrain, and there the students were students from different communities, students from different social backgrounds, and there the situation was much worse. So here the students still had some, the students were still respectful towards the teachers, uh, and the students were still more, in generally speaking, they were still submissive and obedient. So there wasn't too much of rebellion, except for the stray cases. Now, you cannot prevent technology from coming into the classroom because we can't stay behind. So naturally, students are going to be, they are coming across all the latest technology in their homes. They're coming across technology in their life outside the classroom. So naturally, it has to come into the classroom, and I think it's a good thing that we are having smart classrooms. We are having you know we're having work. The children are able to study using this technology. But sometimes children are curious, and naturally, for everything you have, a good side and a bad side. So sometimes this technology has to be reined in. What is suitable for the classroom should be allowed in the classroom, and for that the teachers have to be very alert. Teachers have to be a little more advanced than the students, which I fear is not always possible, especially if you have older generation teachers. I'm afraid I am a technologically disabled person. I'm not able to cope up with all the new things. So it's a good thing that I'm retired, because I wouldn't be able to handle all the new. I wouldn't be able to remember half the things that have come into our lives. Uh, I don't know. Uh, it's it's good to it's good to talk to students who come back after many years. If you bring the students back the next year or the year after they leave school, I don't think they'll have anything nice to uh, say about the school or the teachers. But bring them back 10 years later, and they see things from a different angle, and the picture becomes more rosy. So they remember all the good things that they have experienced. So it's good that we have these uh, alumni meets. We have old students coming back, students bringing their uh, children to see their school, students coming to speak to the teachers. And for teachers, we may not have been able to reap the rewards we wanted at the time of teaching, but now you can say that the harvest is there and we are reaping the rewards. I've had, I can't pinpoint any happy moments as such. I could say that most of my moments were happy. I was happy when students succeeded. I was happy when I got a clever answer in class. I was happy when students came out with some good work. I was happy when parents appreciated uh, the service that was, the kind of education that was being given to their children. Uh, I was happy when our salaries were raised and remuneration improved. So there's so many occasions, and of course all the different celebrations that we had in school. We had celebrations of house fees, uh, Teachers' Day, picnics, school picnics, staff get-togethers. I think these are very important because it helps us to remember how to smile, how to laugh. Uh, and I look back, I think that I had a very rewarding history in my life in Infant Jesus. I don't regret a single bit of it. Okay, regarding the teaching faculty, my colleagues, uh, actually, I can say that we were like a family. I did most of my growing up in infant Jesus school. You can say that I spent more than a good part of my life there. I joined the school in the month of June 1981, and that very same year, that very same month, I got married. So after that, my children were born. I raised them along with my job. It's not just raising my children. I raised other people's children, and I grew as a person. I grew along with my colleagues. I learned how to handle crisis in life, the ups and downs of life. I built a house. I traveled. So all these things and all these moments in my life took place as part of Infant Jesus School. So colleagues, most many of my colleagues, I am in touch with them, even though I have left the school. They're still in touch. We communicate. We meet together for these functions, and even when we exchange news, then some of them, of course, are no more. I mourn the passing of good friends in my life, and I know that's what happens. It has to happen to all of us, and nothing is going to remain the same. But I miss so many people, but I've learned to appreciate what they have, the constructive work that they have done, how they have contributed to my life. Uh, so it's good that I got in. I was given the opportunity to get to know so many people, to allow them to be part of my life, and I think I also have become part of other people's lives. I know the batch of 99 has organized this mammoth function and has taken a lot of trouble to plan and to execute new things, different things. So you have all grown into men, there were no women at that time. So to men of the world, you have grown into family men. Most of you are married with families of your own. So all I can say is uh, it's important to be successful. It is important uh, to have money, to be wealthy, but it's also important to be a good human being, and that is what I think Infinitus trained you to be.